Cyber traders, welcome on back here this Tuesday, September 22nd, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everybody can hear me loud and clear. Hell of a move so far on Blink heading into this Tuesday, huh? From Debbie, who just picked up just about 50 cents on her trade. May have gotten out a bit too soon, but Debbie, fantastic trade, fantastic profit to start off this Tuesday afternoon. Great seeing everybody else, though. Pat, Michael, Leda, Jerry, David, which I have to get back to in just a moment. Greg, Jose, Chuck, Jerry, and great to see everybody else joining us. So with that in mind, guys, let's begin. We ended up seeing the Dow make a nice squeeze from 11 o'clock where it bounced, pushing up into the afternoon, so that's great. Hopefully we end up seeing a bunch of sideless stocks move up with the market, perhaps like the airlines, cruise lines, etc. But let's talk about Blink. Blink came out with news this morning. We went over like a really thorough analysis of this trade, at least from the morning, from the market open. We talked about that just recently inside our Traders Talk workshop. For anybody tuning in on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube, if you guys would like to learn more about our workshops, our curriculum, our training, make sure that you guys join us right here inside our trading room. So for all of us joining the afternoon meeting, even inside Cyber Group, if you ended up missing out on that workshop, we'll post the recording right on your student dashboard shortly after the market close. With that in mind, though, we ended up seeing Blink make a nice push after 9:30, bounced from essentially 875, that big iceberg that we had called out, pushed up towards 980, which was essentially the pre-market high, pulled back, and from where we finished off Traders Talk, guys, we were saying, and thankfully it did play out like perfectly like this. We were saying that 950 was a tough level all morning, up and down, very rugged, but we saw a lot of volume from that price. So we said, what if we happen to see the lows build up? We see this begin to squeeze up towards 950. Well, if it shows strength of resistance, if it shows it's holding really well on the chart, if there is big iceberg there, then I would like to hope perhaps the next pop, should it show higher lows, we'll see a nice squeeze. And well, thankfully, that's exactly what we got. We ended up seeing the break over 951 resistance. Myself and one of our students, Brian, we jumped in and out very quick. We left a lot of money on the table on our trade, but we ended up picking up about 15 cents. We were in from 952, ended up clocking out right at 967 or 968, pretty much right off that first peak. So good exit at the time, obviously made the pullback, held support nicely, and shot right back up, not only to break the pre-market high, but even break over resistance at 10. So heading into the afternoon, guys, you see what's happening. A lower high, $10, holding once again perfectly. There was a 74,000 share order on the ask just before. So this big volume spike here, I mean, there's plenty more behind the 74K, but at least from Bookmap, at least from level 3, we ended up seeing that just alone on the ask. So between that and everything else that got filled afterwards, big pop, it's holding under 10 for right now. It wouldn't shock me if this ends up holding over 980. For it to slam under 980, right back over 980, and for it to run higher into the close. Now, I'm just shooting from the hip with that thought. I mean, that could very well be wrong, right? So we're not just going to throw a dart on the wall and hope it lands, but we'll see what happens. I mean, for this holding right where it is, we're going to put this near the top of our list so far. It'll probably remain there throughout the meeting. But yeah, I mean, see what happens. Look to see if this could crash under and over 980, make a push back up towards 10, and hopefully through it. All right, so news came out on Blink this morning. It was just with their charging stations. They're deploying like 500 or 600 different charging stations across like 24 states. Big news. So, ended up making a very nice run. So Blink was one of just a few movers we ended up catching from the morning. We talked about in Traders Talk today, if anything. This morning was a little difficult. Blink was great to us a bit later on in the morning. This NAOV was great in pre-market, but then more so than anything, actually, wow, this thing ended up making a nice afternoon push. I didn't even see that. We were focused on Blink that much this afternoon so far. But yeah, the NAOV trade ended up shortly after the open. It was like kind of consolidating, and then from there broke out pretty quickly thereafter. So you could see that's what happened from 110 up towards 135. And typically once we see a stock do that and then pull back, you wouldn't really expect to see like a second big move up like you kind of just saw. So pretty surprising push up. It looks like it got halted on the way up, and when it reopened up, not really too much to write home about there, right? So this could very well begin the dump off. Very active going into the afternoon, so it's interesting. Maybe I'll come back to this at the end. I'm still a little reluctant right now putting this NAOV on our watch list for the close. All right, so we had NAOV, we had Blink. What else do we have here, guys? From this pre-market, one that was more of a bust than anything. It wasn't even that great of a trail. I guess you could say it was decent. More so going into the late morning, though. This AIM stock here, anytime you happen to see news come out, big pop, of course, rightfully so. It ended up being on our watch list. But typically, this was super early in the morning. Once you happen to see this dump off here, very steady trend, you don't really tend to expect a really nice pop up right away after 9:30. Maybe later in the morning or maybe in the afternoon. So it's easy to say going into the late morning, it made a nice push. I wasn't there to trade it. Looks like it could have been a really nice run, quick level 1 to 2 stock running up. Volume died off here, made a lower high, pulling back right now. So for the meantime, we'll pass on the AIM trade for the afternoon. All right, now we have Pat here saying on inside the trading room right now. Pat, one of our students, Pat L, and then Leda saying SRNE pop. So that wasn't one that we traded from this morning, but it's damn one that we'll be trading this afternoon. That's for sure. So I wanted to jump right to the chat board here because Sorrento is one that we've traded not just from the past few days, but we've been following this stock for the last many months. Probably back from February even with all the other COVID vaccine related stocks. We had a big pop here perhaps, but I thought there was one going back into late January, early Feb. But nonetheless, we've been following this stock for quite some time. I'm going to copy and paste the news just for all of us on social media right now, just that didn't have the chance to see this. So our student Pat posted the news just here. Sorrento SRNE sees submission of request to proceed with phase 3 trial. I don't know if it's COVID related. It says RTX epidural imminently. So, Sorrento's come out with news in the past in relation to COVID vaccine, COVID testing, etc. So obviously you see on the daily chart, it reflects it made some big pops and drops and right back down. But Leda says for cancer, pain, and then Jerry says pain management. All right, well, that sounds like a very nice headline and nice reaction so far. Big pop from 960 up towards 10, major level. I would assume 10 to hold the first attempt, probably a pop and drop, if anything. But great call. I wanted to jump to this right away. So SRNE alongside Blink we'll put on our list heading into the afternoon. All right, we saw a couple of other moves up here and there. Otherwise, there's some stocks that are actually posting earnings later in the week that are making their way up on the gainers list here. So maybe we'll get to those. What we'll do is go from top to bottom here in the meantime. Actually, first, while we're at it, let's just watch what happens here at 10. Look at the size of the order that's going to pop up at 10 here. Get ready. It's 47K right now. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 200K popping up in the next few seconds. Wait for it. Wait for it. 69,000. All right. Wow. So not as much as I thought. I thought you'd see a lot more refreshing at that price off of 10 to where you'd see a much bigger order get filled. But it's still shaking around it. It's not really making a clean breakout. So I'm still expecting this stock to kind of shake around here, probably pull back down over time and maybe make its way back up towards 10 later on. Almost like very similar to Blink. All right. So again, what we'll do is go from top to bottom, guys. Great call. Just now live on Sorrento here. CVNA, super expensive. It's up 34%. Is this all-time highs? I think the spread's so big. I can't put this on our list, but pretty cool to see. From earlier, made a bounce off like 200, 201, moved up. Just a crazy spread, though. I just don't even want this to be like a distraction. We had Roku on our list, breaking all-time highs. Spreads were a little bit tighter, obviously very expensive too, but much tighter spreads on that at least. All right. What else we have here on the gainers list here, folks? GameStop, GME. Now, we ended up seeing news out on GameStop over the last many weeks, but the news that came out this morning, I'm going to copy and paste really quickly for us here. If my Benzinga Pro can load. There we go. Okay, cool. So I'm going to copy and paste. GME shares trading higher after Ryan Cohen Ventures disclosed a 9.98% active stake in the company. That's what we're seeing there. Just going to copy and paste right now for that. So, ended up being a wacky chart though. Pop or drop, then pop right back down, held right off the pre-market highs, it seems. But yeah, this chart's all over the place. Going into the afternoon, don't get me wrong, it's active in terms of volume being traded, but Not really catching my eye here. Not really much to work with. You would hope that for as much as this kind of gapped up and ran, if it's going to pull back and drop, it would be a better short opportunity, I feel, should this break down below the VWAP right off 1050. But hard to borrow. So check to see if you can get the shares to short it, but for right now, we'll pass. RMTI, this was a big tease from today. Ended up making a nice pop after the market opened up, but ended up falling off right from there. So not looking too great either here. All right, we got REN, RENN, just flat, spotty chart for right now. Same thing. All right, let's keep it going here. We'll skim through though. All right, so Boxel, BOXL, Boxlight, really quick. Just the news that came out also right around 8:45, or rather 8 o'clock pre-market here. I forgot the news. Copy and paste. I'll see if I could do that right now. But nonetheless, we ended up seeing Boxel make like a not pump and dump, so to say, but pop, and then from there just drifted sideways. Not much really happening on that Boxel trade this afternoon. So once again, I'll copy and paste the news just for this trade, BOXL. Don't be surprised if this ends up making another move like later in the week. If it's Thursday or Friday, the latter end of this week, I really wouldn't be surprised. So Boxel, BOXL shares trading higher after the company announced it received a $22 million investment from the Lind Partners, LIND. All right. So maybe not today, maybe later in the week, though. We'll see. We'll come back to it. Ooh, vaccine stock, APT. This thing was a monster for us going back into the summer. Early in the year, you could see this squeeze up, but we ended up trading it more over here. I mean, we traded it back in February, March, but for as much as this dropped, you'd hope to see another miniature run up. So we ended up seeing just maybe whether it was news based or short squeeze. This ended up making a nice run from roughly around 13, 14 bucks all the way up towards 25 over a couple week period. This afternoon, looking pretty interesting though, right up towards the highs. I would assume 16 whole number to be a big level. So looking interesting. This APT. Put on our list here. All right, let's see. VSTO, this looks pretty interesting too. I mean, obviously at the highs, approaching a 52-week high back from the highs in August. Only about 4,800 shares on the ask at 22. It is shortable if it craps out the other way. Spreads really aren't too big on this, and liquidity seems to check out. It's my first look at the stock today. All right, well, for right now, VSTO, same thing. All right, U, letter U. Not much going on. Ford pump and dump. You can see that there. Sharper drop back down. BBBY, Bed Bath Beyond, familiar name. We ended up trading them going back into the end of last year, going into the beginning of this year, dropping off, recovering with the market. Today it's shortable. Back in the beginning of the year, it wasn't. So it was pretty difficult to get shares to short this one. But for right now, if it craps out the other way, we could short it. Otherwise, follow the trend on the way up, 14 major level. We ended up seeing a big volume spike here, probably off the pop from 14, pop and drop. Trade station matrix, like volume bar histogram here, shows right exactly at 14. All right, cool. So yeah, BBBY, same thing. We're building up a nice little list here for right now. Right underneath it, Party City, another familiar name. Broke all-time lows, I think, back in the end of last year. Squeezed back up greatly, though. I feel like for as much as this moved, it's not really the type that makes a volatile pop. So I would say to see this stock make a run up, then back down, to see it make a second run anyway, I wouldn't expect. And this stock in particular hasn't really made that big of a move. All right. All right, we got a comment here from YouTube. I want to jump right to YouTube right now. I'm flip-flopping back and forth from one of our attendees here, Barry, saying AEYE is on the move. Yeah, but the volume sucks. It's 177,000 shares. The spread's huge. So this isn't something that we would ever really look to day trade at this point in the day. Chart-wise, it's at the highs. But if that's the case, then we may have just put every stock, that's near the highs on our list, right? So, that's where we have to pick and choose our battles. I'd rather not trade something that's overly traded, but I don't want something that has no liquidity. It would be really tough getting out of this trade with 1,000 shares. You'd get a pretty bad exit likely if you're, getting beat by the spread. All right, I'll just skim down this list, guys. Any familiar names? Mark, big T's, MARK right here. Not much going on. I thought this said genius, GNUS, but it's GNSS. That's not the same. All right, let's hop over to the losers list, guys. If there's anything else that looks good, let me know. Something that's up or down big, something that's trading a lot of volume. That's very important. VCNX. So we're going to jump to this, of course, right away. Still down 56%. At this point, though, you just see it. I mean, it's just super flat, not really going much of anywhere right now. So we were hopeful for a dead cat bounce on this trade. We got a little bit of it. After the market opened up, it bounced off its opening bell print essentially from 230 up towards 250. 20-cent squeeze up early in the morning. I'll take it. Again, we ended up seeing, like, out of the last 5 stocks that were down like 60% or more that we've been trading, there was only one of them recently that made a big move. And Norman, one of our students, reminded me of that today in Traders Talk. It was that STSA, right? You see that big spike up after it gapped down on the daily chart. That's what you would hope to see. A lot of these stocks of late have really been going much of nowhere. So, yeah, VCNX down big. Probably keep it on your side list for the remainder of the week just in case, but not looking to be that way today. BSGM, hard to borrow. I was going to say shortable, not shortable. It's near the lows. Spread checks out. Liquidity checks out. Just flat, though, for the meantime. This one's trading more volume. I could be interested in this, but again, like, I don't want to force anything on our list. There's not a need to put this on our list necessarily. So if it ends up breaking lower, if you can short it from the 550 level, that could be the play. Otherwise, for most of us here, the hope would be to see it squeeze up. But for right now, we got WKHS on our list. It's down 9+%. Ended up taking a beating early this morning. Workhorse, for as much as this moved up, you got to figure, when is this going to drop? So, perhaps with the market dropping off early today, this was, moving with it. But this ended up making a very nice drop off shortly after the open from essentially 29.50 down towards the essential low of the day. Pretty much 26.50, 26.57. Looks like it's heading back down right now. I wouldn't expect this to make nearly as sharp of a move in the afternoon as it made from this morning, but I'd rather focus on a workhorse here compared to something, again, that isn't really trading a whole lot of volume, something that looks, more indecisive. Another one down big. This one was making a tear lately too. Bloom, BE, ended up dropping off nicely with the market today as well. Dropped off steadily down towards 1650. Seems to be hanging around there too. I'll pass over this. I'll skip over this for right now too. All right, guys, if there's anything else moving up, down, left, right, 10% or more, just let me know. I got a frog in my throat right now too, so please let's see. From Norman, he's saying Uber inside our trading room. Ooh, nice drop. Yeah, looking really good, Norman. What the heck's happening here with Uber? I don't know if any news came out. I don't expect there to be, because you would have seen a lot sharper of a spike. But really nice move down. Yeah, this looks great. We'll check out Lift 2 while we're at it. Not looking as good. Yeah, Uber definitely right on our watch list. Great call. All right, let's go back to SRNE. Pat's saying SRNE already at 1035 now. Well, look what happened. It popped 10. It came back down under 10, right? So thankfully, once it rebroke from, 10.05-ish, we'll call it here, it ended up making that higher high, much bigger high than I would have thought. I thought this would kind of drop off in volume, probably make its bigger move around 3:15, 3:30 Eastern. But nice start, really. And then Blink, take a look at Blink here. It's making the exact move that I'm looking for right now, guys. The under and over. All right, so you know what, guys? Please let me know if there's anything else. Otherwise, I think we're pretty good. I don't want to miss this Blink trade here, this setup potentially. Sometimes the writing is just on the wall, All right, we got one more here I want to look at. It's like a low float pump and dump type. JFin, trying to fill the gap on the daily chart. Cheap, tight spread, very low volume traded at this point in the day. It's up big though. I'd rather this over that AEYE, Barry, if we're kind of comparing apples to oranges here. Much tighter spread on this, at least. Kathleen, look at you on the chat board. Kathleen jumped in the SR&E trade from 10, ended up picking up 40 cents just about. Excellent. Oh, this is the other stock. So we got two Corona stocks, I think, that are moving that are very similar. You got APT. This was the one I was actually thinking of. I mean, both we traded and called out, but I was like, that other one, I thought it made a more recent move. This is what I was thinking of here. ALT, look at this. This is what we traded going back into late June, early July. That pop from 10 up to 35 back down. Incredible range. So we got two stocks. Don't mix them up. This is like Fausto's worst nightmare here. You got APT and ALT. Both are near the highs. Both look very interesting heading into the afternoon. I guess while I'm at it, we may as look at. I mean, we may as well look at like INO, CODX, all the others. None of them really looking too good. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll tell you guys. I think we'll call it. We have a pretty good list heading into this Tuesday afternoon. In total, we got 3, 6, 8. Perfect. Right down the middle, at least in my eye. All right, guys. So let me post and tweet these out to you right now. I got to take a call coming up at 3 o'clock. So for all of us here inside the trading room, I'll hop back on the mic right at 3:30, taking us into the final 30 minutes of the day. For anybody tuning in on social media, once again, if you guys would like to learn more about CTU, make sure that you guys like, subscribe, notify. You're right on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/cybertradingu. Aside from that, as always, feel more than free to join us inside our live trading room, especially on a day like today, heading into this Tuesday close. I'll talk to you guys coming up pretty shortly. Take care.